Welcome to this week's Mad Group, and it's pre-recorded, so I'm sorry it's not a live one this week. However, it doesn't stop me trying to provide great value for all of you. This week's subject is predominantly leadership, and I think that there's so much in this that people undervalue being a good leader is all about. And it's not just about leading with your employees, but it's about being a leader in the community and leading wherever you are. It's a different mindset. And I think today I'm going to give you some areas that we'll talk about, or I'll talk about. And if you've got anything from this, please put them in the group and ask questions, because although this session isn't interactive, there's a lot of data here that you can use and hopefully bring to use in your everyday life, not just in the business world. So for me, leadership, what is it all about? So we'll break this down into different areas, and I think I really like these two examples. So leadership, are you a directive leader or a consultative type leader? So what do I mean by that? The old school leadership was just go and do as I'm telling you to do, right? Don't worry about what I'm doing. You do what I tell you to do. And a lot of bosses still apply that today. To me, it's absolutely crazy if that's the way that you're doing it, because people don't want to be, treated like school kids. And then there's the consultative type or the coaching type leadership, which is, I prefer that. And that is my style of leadership when I'm working with businesses. So, I've given this analogy lots of times to people, but the directive approach is, okay, we're a team and we need to paint the gutters or the fascias. So I'll pick one of you. You go down to the shed. In the shed, I'm telling you, there's a ladder in the shed. Go and get a ladder and bring the ladder back. So you'll go down, look in the shed. You open the doors in there. You can't see the ladder. So you'll shut the doors, come back, say, there's no ladder down there. So that's directive. I've told you how to do it, and then you go and do it. And the type of leader that does that, rather than put the systems and processes in, I might as well bloody do it myself. So they tell people they don't do it, and there's no thinking involved in that directive type leadership. The consultative type is pretty much, it takes a little bit longer, but it's much, much more effective in the long run. So same problem, we've got to paint all the fascias, and I say to the team, okay, we need to paint the fascias. Anybody got any ideas what tools we'll need? And then you might come up and say, well, Ash, we need a ladder. And I say, oh, brilliant. You don't know where there is one, do you? And then you'll say, oh, yeah, I think there's one down in the shed. Oh, fantastic. You go and get the ladder, then that's, really good. So because it's your idea, you'll go down, you'll look in the shed, on the shed, round the shed, beside the shed, behind the shed, under the shed, and everywhere. And if it's not there, you'll find a ladder and come back with a ladder because it's your idea. Now, that is the consultative type leadership. So we'll talk more about that a little bit as we go on. But bearing in mind, that's what we want. So consultative rather than directive. If you want to use directive, good luck with that. You'll get better results consultatively. The next thing with this, and I call this the alpha male syndrome, if you like, is congruency. I see this so much in companies where they'll say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, but then as a leader, they're not doing it themselves. Now, I believe that you have to lead from the front. And part of that is very much is say what you do and do what you say. And an example of that, a few years ago, I worked with a local gym, and the guy in there, I've come into a session and he's standing there saying to everybody, you must wear your branded clothing. You must come to work in that all branded up and everything, on, and come in and look smart. And he's standing there with a T-shirt on. I got pissed in Ibiza at the weekend. So he's saying one thing, but expecting his staff to do it. So as soon as he's not in there, they'll do as they're like, because there's no congruency between what the leader is saying and the actual, what he wants you to, it's what he's doing. It doesn't work. So there for me is a big thing. If, you've got to lead from the front, classic example, look at our Boris, all the stuff with the lockdown, yet he didn't do it himself. So he's expecting us to do it, but what's that make him superior to everybody else? And then lied about it. Why would you lie? There's no congruency. And once you start that lie, you can't stop it. You have to tell another lie to do it. So for me, part of that leadership and congruency is very much about telling the truth. The next thing for me within this, in these little 7 little steps here for this, is you must be able to see the big picture. And over the years, one of the things that I've noticed with business owners is the really good ones are very good at seeing the big picture. And the ones that are not so good and don't do so well are the ones that are really struggling to see that big picture. They dwell on the content. And when we've done the stages model a little while ago, I said one of the key things about skills about taking a business into the advanced growth is very much about having the ability to look at the big picture. We must see the big picture, the context of the situation, and then break it down and come back and then deal with the data. So, how do you do that? Where are you practicing to look at the big picture? And if you don't understand about the big picture, maybe we can talk about that in another session, how we go about that. The next one, and this is a Stephen Covey thing, is about start with the end in mind. So if I'm going to go into a management meeting, I've already looked at the big picture. I know what I want, and I know what the outcome is from the meeting with the staff. I know what I want to get. So I'm there, I'm focused, and I know the outcome. And which brings me on to the next step. I've already worked out the questions I need to be asking to get them to think it's their idea to get me to the end result in the first place. So I will always have a set of questions worked out that are going to take them on a path so that they come to the conclusion for the same outcome as me. So questions very much are the answer to taking staff and other people to the end goal. So what is the end goal that you want to get? And then what questions do you need to ask the people in front of you to actually get to that end goal and get the result that you want? The next bit for this is very much about having a growth mindset. And just recently, Sally and I have taken on a joint client, and one of the people in the senior management team, he will not see that he's wrong in anything that he does. So he's got a very fixed mindset. This is my way. You either do it this way or you hit the highway. That's not the way. For me, very much about, if I find myself fixed in a way, I have to explore other options. So if I'm beginning to think this is the only way to do that, I then say, well, okay, what if there was another way? How else could I do this if this way wasn't an option? So it's about actually practicing a growth mindset. And if you wanted to do a session just on growth mindset, please ask, because there's a lot in there, and understanding that the difference between it being growth and being fixed. And if we go back, you'll notice the stuff that we talk about. It's like having that bit that is fixed, and our beliefs are so solid that they're fixed and we can't affect them or change them, then that's not really going to help us in the long term. We need to be able to adapt and adjust. And the way that we do that is by adopting a growth mindset. I think that's key as a leader. So just those bits to start with, and then I'll go through a list of qualities that you can start to look for yourself and other people. So these 7 bits here are directive or consultative. Consultative, and what does that mean and how does it work? Congruency for you. How are you congruent with the way that you lead, or you know, it's my business, I do what I like, and I've crikey the times I've seen that in a business, and you know, invariably that business will fail. The next thing is about seeing the big picture. How do we work out, you know, what the big picture looks like? How are we planning stuff? So again, for me, I'm very much a strategist. I plan stuff. I've worked out what I want, you know. So again, the next step is start with the end in mind. So I've worked out what that big picture looks like, and then that end result. And then I start asking questions to get me or my staff or the people that I'm working with to that end goal. So what are the questions? So if you ask better questions, you'll get better results. The next bit is the growth mindset. Think about that. And if you haven't read the book by Carol Dweck, I'd suggest that you go and do it. If you're serious about your business, read the book. It's Mindset by Carol Dweck. You know, and that will explain it, you know, better, probably a lot more eloquently than I do. But absolutely crucial in leadership. So I think, you know, generally leaders need to continually develop and exhibit their leadership traits. You know, while there are leadership traits that are inherent in people, some people are just born leaders, they've done that. Most of those will be really good communicators with other people. So if you haven't got any of those inherent skills, it really is possible to learn and then practice them. So this stuff that I'm giving you here, practice it, pick something. Even if you think you're a great leader, be honest with yourself and mark yourself off in those bits to say, yeah, do you know what? I could be more congruent. You know, I could actually work out the bigger picture. Yeah, I'm stuck a little bit in a, you know, a fixed mindset. So think about it and then have a look at the people around you, you know, especially if you've got employees or, you know, you're using other people under your banner. How are you going to actually get them to demonstrate their leadership skills and their potential? So what I've done here is I've put a list of qualities together that you can look for, not only in yourself, but in other people. So I've already briefly mentioned this. You know, good leaders, you know, effective leaders are great communicators. And, you know, Warren Buffett, I read an article from Warren Buffett just a little while back, and he was saying that if he could have just one skill out of everything, it would be the skill to communicate. So I think that is crucial. You know, it includes a bit when knowing when to listen and when to talk, you know, and when you do talk, you know, are you concise? You know, and do you discuss issues to make problems known or solutions understood? Think about that. You know, how do you adapt to that? Are you a person that focuses and communicates problems to people and to your, you know, your followers? Or are you thinking, oh, well, this is a problem, and how can I then communicate a solution to that problem? What is the best way to do that? Remember, the meaning of the communication is in the result that you get. So if you're not getting the result that you want, change your communication. To me, that is a crucial bit. So effective communication. The next bit, we did touch a little bit on this, but it's about responsibility and accountability. You know, true leaders take responsibility and are accountable for their actions, you know, including the cock-ups that they make. You know, everybody messes up, but it's accepting that. And, you know, in this bit, one of the things, again, that, you know, I've noticed, it's around that justification. So the amount of company owners that I've gone to and say, so, you know, what made you make that decision? And then they go into a mass diatribe and justifying why they made the decision, rather than saying, yeah, do you know what? I've cocked that up and I could have done that different if I'd had a growth mindset and thought about it in a different way. So, you know, think about that. Are you taking responsibility and accountability for you? And this comes back onto other stuff that we've talked about, is that, you know, external locus of control or an internal locus of control. And, you know, I mentioned this a little bit in ABC this morning about the Wimbledon men's final at the weekend between Kyrgios and Djokovic. You know, Kyrgios there, he went and he smashed the first set and he won it, and he was totally focused on doing it. But then early on in the second set, somebody in the crowd said something and he took it personally. And then he started blaming them because he's missed a serve or he's knocked the ball into the net. He's not taking responsibility, or he's not accountable for his actions. And there's the bit. And that's, I've always lived by the motto, you know, if it's going to be, it's up to me. I'm responsible for me. Nobody is going to save me. And funnily enough, nobody's going to come on and save you. If you're a proper leader, you'll take that responsibility and crack on and do it. The next bit, long-term thinking. And this is the bit that we talked about, the big pictures. You know, you've got to have a vision for the future, and you've got to have a vision for the people around you. You know, and this is back to the goal setting bit. If you can't put together some, you know, quantifiable and solid goals for your plan for the future, how are you ever going to conquer the future if you haven't got a plan for the future? So again, we're back to those big picture, you know, thinking, the long-term strategic bit. You know, and I can hear some of you saying, oh yeah, but I'm not very good at that strategy stuff. Okay, so you're not very good at it at the moment. What do you need to do to get better? What things could you learn? And there's a growth mindset coming into that. You know, what is that bit? You know, that bit for you that can be improved. So, you know, it's like good leaders, they don't fear change. You know, they're looking for those small and gradual and continual improvements. It's the Kaizen mentality in the long term, and know that it doesn't all have to be perfect right now. We're looking long term. How do we do this? You know, each day again, are we moving towards our goal or not? If we're not moving towards it because the action we've taken is taking us away from it, what do we need to do to bring us back on track? But we need that long-term strategy right out there to make us, you know, sure of where we're going. You need to be able to think long-term. The next bit for leadership for me is very much about self-motivation. And if you're not motivated, how are you going to motivate anybody else around you? So, you know, we've had this conversation where, oh, it's all right for you, Ash. Yeah, right. So what's the difference? You know, I'm pretty motivated to achieve stuff. And whereas a lot of people are fear-based motivation. So are you an away from person or a towards person? The type of people that you've got working in your business, what are they? Are they fear-based or are they a towards? So think about that, because the way that you communicate to them will help if you know where you're based and how you're motivated. You know, you've heard me say it before. I'd always, if I'm struggling to actually get motivated to do something, the question I have in the bag every single time is, how much do I really want this? Do I really want it? I don't know. And if I can't answer that of why I want this, then the chances are it's not going to happen. The next bit, I think, is about having some confidence. You know, I think if you see good leaders, most of them will all be pretty confident. You know, that they'll feel solid about themselves in their own skin. And, you know, if you've got any self-doubt in there, then maybe that's time when you should be actually looking at yourself and looking at, you know, imposter syndrome is something that is there in a lot of people, a lot of bosses in companies and people that have done well. Maybe look at, you know, if you are doubting yourself and you're not confident as a leader, what stops that? How can we change it? What would need to happen for you to have some open communication about that so you can inspire and reassure others and encourage teamwork? You know, it's important that, and this is the bit about congruency, you know, telling other people to be confident that are with you, but you're not confident yourself. You know, it's there's no congruency there. People skills, this is another thing, we come back to the communication bit. Good leaders tend to be really good team players and people oriented. People skills for these people, keep saying a lot of people, is very much enable them to involve others in making the decisions. We're back to the consultative stuff now. For me, I don't care who in my team gets the result, and the accolades to go with that. I don't need the accolades. I need the result in my business or in the businesses that I work with. Whoever gets that, I had a classic example of this. Somebody, a father of a young lad that came to me 6-7 years ago, and he's suffering terribly from bulimia. And this guy's 6'4" and he was 8 stone. And I worked with him for a period of time, and he went off and he's done some brilliant stuff now. And, I've seen a lot of him. He's now a male model. He's also a qualified personal trainer. He's come a long way. And his dad texted me and he said, Ash, he said, I don't know if you've seen, what's happening with James, but he's absolutely smashing it at the moment. And it's all thanks to you. He said, and I said to him, look, you have done it. He's done the work and you've supported him. That's not my work, that's your work. And he said, but yes, Ash, you planted the seed. And then I've gone on and said to him, look, I may have planted that seed, but you've watered it, you've fed it, you've nurtured it. And he's actually worked with what he's got. Everything is you, it's not me. And I'm happy for them to be in there. Yeah, I'll put the seed into. I don't need to be told that. It's nice to have that feedback, but I'm happy for the people around me to get that accolades. So learning how to do that and get your team working is the best way. Now, here's one that might come a little bit strange for you. Emotional intelligence, EQ, most good leaders will have a high degree of emotional intelligence. So, which will enable you to manage your own emotions and those of others around you. And here we are, we're back. See how everything comes around in a circle. We need to manage our own emotions. If you can't imagine if you can't manage your emotions, so you've had a bad day or a bad night or something shit has happened to you, and then you go into work and start slamming stuff around and shouting at people and having a go at people because they haven't done their job, guess what they are then going to do to the other members of staff, people around them? Because again, they're following you. You're the leader. And if it's all right for you to do it, that's what they expect. It is the alpha male syndrome. You need to be looking at what your EQ is and how you are, and be aware of your emotions at all times and manage your state. So a good leader will be able to manage their state. And this is, again, if we go back to the tennis analogy, Djokovic absolutely smashed it, but you didn't see any emotion because he was focusing on the process of winning, not the outcome. Whereas the other guy, all he had was his focus on everything that was going wrong and all of that stuff. So I would see his emotional intelligence was quite low. The next bit is about being open-minded. And we've talked about this, about your beliefs. What are your beliefs, about stuff? And have you got an open mind? Is it a growth mindset, or, are you just fixed? It's really important to listen and open your mind to what other people are saying so that we can actually bring in other, solutions to stuff. Your idea is not always the idea. So having an open mind and managing that within your staff is absolutely crucial to great leadership. Next bit, ethics. What are your ethics? You've heard me talk about this, 3 principles. I mean, lots, but the ethics for me for business is open, honest, and fair with everybody. I'll always be open. I will be absolutely honest, which is where the no bullshit bit comes from. And I will be fair as best as I can. And I think, what are your ethics within your business and you? And because that will come out in the way that you actually work with your clients, and people that buy your services or product, you need some pretty strong ethics there. So for me, it's not about the money. It's about being open, honest and fair through all of it. Yeah, I want to earn money because I'm a business owner, but I want to do it in an ethical way. And integrity for me is crucial. If there's no integrity, which are part of my ethics, I don't want to work for somebody. I can't actually work for somebody and tell them what they want to hear. I can't do that because my ethics and my integrity won't allow me to do that. I tell you what I think. You pay me to tell you what I think. If you don't like what I think, we then discuss that. But I can't say it just because you want to hear it. So as a leader, then the ethics that I want to promote to the people around me are exactly the same as that. The next bit is very much about optimism. We've talked about this so much. You're going to get so much more done with a little, taste of honey than you will with a taste of vinegar. Positivity, even during, really difficult times, is a quality that most great leaders will maintain. You will see me most of the time. I'm the same all of the time. And majority of the time, I'm really positive about stuff. I'll get my negative moments like we all do, but then I manage that in front of people. If I'm feeling pretty negative about stuff, I was pissed off as anybody about the COVID, but I managed it and then thought about, right, what can I do? What can I do? Not what is stopping me. And I think as a leader, we need to do that. We need to lead with positivity. Humility, and this is what I said to you, if you're wrong, step up and say it, and that's what I say. I'm just a normal bloke. I'm just a normal bloke. I've experienced what most people have experienced. I've had good times, I've had bad times. I've had loads of money, I've had no money. So, and I'm humble about that. And I accept it the way that I am. It's got to be a bit of humility, walking around in shorts and flip-flops all the time, looking like a bloody postman. So a scruffy postman at that. So for me, it's, you need to be able to stay in touch with your subordinates. One of the clients I had, quite wealthy, the brother would come in to the staff car parking area in his Ferrari and do donuts in his Ferrari. There's no humility in that. Everybody thought he was a complete cock, which he was. So thinking about how you maintain your humility and accept criticism and feedback from others, to know and admit their mistakes, I think that is crucial. Character, we need to have a little bit of character about us and have, something a little bit, a bit of a persona that's unique, that identify them to other people. I think it's important that we're in touch with your personality and other people around you. How can you do that and take, a firm stand with things if you've got no character? For many things you can say about Boris, at least he had some character about him, because there's a lot of faceless politicians out there. But then you need a bit of humility and integrity with that character. So what is the character that you want to portray to people? Think about the quality of that. And then last but not least, out of this little group, for me, is very much about passion. How do we, keep passion for what we do? I don't know if you've noticed, but I am quite passionate about mindset and about how it is the difference between good and great. That is what it is. It's all about mindset. It's not a skill set, it's a mindset. So where is your passion in your business? Where is your passion in your everyday life? To me, I think as a leader, it's crucial that we all have some passion about us. So just to recollect, effective communication, responsibility and accountability, long-term thinking, the big pictures, self-motivation and confidence, some people skills, absolutely crucial. The best people are the ones, the best leaders are the ones with good people skills. You can't please everyone, but trying to please a good lump of them is really good. Emotional intelligence, if you don't know what that is, we can do something in depth about that, because I think it's crucial going forward. Open-mindedness, ethics, optimism, humility, character and passion. They are my tips for leadership. If any of you have got any questions on this at all, come on, let's have a little bit of shall we say, engagement in the group around this leadership bit, and let me know, out of all of the things I've mentioned, maybe do yourself an audit on this and score yourself on a scale of 1 to 10. You know, we do some audits. So 1, you're shit, 10, I'm really good at that. Put yourself the audit together on all of the things that I've said here. If anybody would like this little bit of a document that I've put together for this, email me and I'll send it over. Anything else that I can help you with, please, please, please get in touch. And if you've enjoyed this video, please watch the next video just here, or subscribe to my YouTube channel just here.